Welcome to another episode of Let's Code. And I'm pleased today to have Thomas on with us. Thomas
Yeah,
is one of our developer advocates in Germany. And today he's going to share with us some experiences he's had with IBM Cloud Code Engine. And he's going to walk us through a tutorial that he's written on getting started with Java Microservices on IBM Cloud Code Engine.
yeah,
Thomas, welcome. Great to have you here.
yeah, great. Thank you, Niall, for the invitation. So, and I hope that's also interesting for you as for myself, the code engine stuff. Um, I wrote that workshop because I like to know about scale to zero stuff and scale to zero stuff with the code engine. That was very interesting for me. Yeah, I heard about that. And a little bit background what I currently do. I focus on container technologies with Red Hat OpenShift and Kubernetes and so on. And by the way, some of my colleagues, we created a project. That project is called here. I have to go here up. The project is called. Oh, here's a wrong one. The wrong Cloud Native Starter, and it is around the basic concepts of microservices applications. It's about a reactive and also security stuff. Yeah. So and when I heard about the code engine, yeah, and I heard about that it can do the nice things with jobs, yeah, when you have a lot of workload or you need a lot of power for maybe uh, um, for your when you artificial intelligence and you do um, creating of models and with data science and all that stuff, then it's very interesting. But my focus is more, and my focus is more really just the container, yeah, because I think this is totally interesting. And what I also noticed in the past is with our capabilities on IBM Cloud with Cloud Foundry, yeah, but with Cloud Foundry, if you just want to do, if you just want to create one instance, that's okay, yeah. But I want really to figure out a very small project, which is not sure that's not for productive. It's really just to get to know it, yeah.
Right.
And I thought, yeah, what are the capabilities? Can I just apply what I already have in these different other um, scenarios on Red Hat OpenShift and Kubernetes and so on? And can I just move it here? And does it work in the same way? And that was one of the major objectives. And by the way, the what it directly comes, as you can imagine, the applications are already containerized. Yeah, we
Yep.
can take a look in the concrete implementation, because the implementation is interesting, and I also wrote some blog posts about that. When you work in containerized environments, you have to be flexible in the configuration when you start up your container. Yeah, so you want to use environment variables so that you do not really need to change the implementations again and again. Yeah, for some specific connections, for example, for the connection to other other services. So the major objective of that workshop is really to deploy that existing containerized application. Yeah, the source code is in that project also,
Right.
and to understand also the internal routing between the microservices. And yeah, what is nice that you have out of the box monitoring of the application, you have out of the box logging of the application. Yeah. So, and I do not yeah, explain every part of code engine in that case, and also not with the jobs. It's really just get the job done, that the application, the containerized application, runs on code engine. Yeah, the prerequisites for that is that you must have a pay-as-you-go account, but that's not a problem because I will use my private pay-as-you-go account so that you can see it. Yeah, um, um, with no problems, because you have a free tier in Code Engine per month. And what the cool thing is, and what I like for myself also when I try out, and what I had to do in the past, uh, I had to do in the past when I tried out some services on Cloud Foundry. Yeah, you have to stop it. And the cool thing here is it stops from itself, and you do not have to pay attention, because it scales down, it scales to zero as you configure.
Right. So you,
Yeah.
so you end up not paying for anything that you're not actually running at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So I do not. I guess if you run that, you can run that workshop by yourself if you want to. Yeah, it's totally free when you have an account, and yeah, it should run. I guess it should run 1 hour, but as you will see, it's more about what takes time is really more about the understanding, yeah, and what is the implementation, and not so much what the setup is, because I wrote the bash scripts, yeah, for automation, and you can take a look into the bash scripts, or we will take also a look in the bash scripts, how I automate all that stuff, yeah. So for that.
Sounds good.
Okay, going forward, and when we have an example, we should understand the example, yeah, the example application, what is deployed. And the example application does a very, yeah, a very, very simple thing, yeah. Um, you have an application, front end which displays articles, yeah, and it displays articles when you are logged on. And the interesting stuff is that we use Keycloak in that context for the identity and access management. So you must be logged on with a valid role. It's called here user, and the name is here Alice. And when we go down here to the next one, you can see here that's the architecture. And what was interesting for me, and what that was a very important part, um, I want to know, is it really possible that I can communicate inside Code Engine, yeah, between the services, so that I do not have an external route. So when you take a look at these services, you have at least 4 applications running inside the Code Engine itself. Yeah, that is the article service, which has no outside route. It just calls here Keycloak, yeah, from with the outside route. Yeah, so you can see here, and it will be only invoked internally from the Web API service. So the Web API service has was spinning a wheel, so I thought, oh, maybe some connection problems. Yeah. Okay. The Web API service provides the articles information, yeah, to the front end, and as you can see, we will provide the web API, the web app as a front end with an Nginx server. Yeah. So that would be loaded here into the browser. So we need to access for sure the web app, yeah, with an external route, and we need to access our Keycloak, because we do the OpenID Connect stuff, so with the authentication, yeah. So we need the root, we need to configure it maybe, yeah, and for sure we need to invoke the web API, which provides us in our application itself the data. So that is front end back end to front end pattern. So, and then that's important to know with the different parts here, external and internal routing, and that in that context, it's important to know we have 3 external routes which are important for us, yeah, and we have 1 internal route. And by the way, what I always like to know, because when I did the other workshop, security workshop with the Kubernetes, yeah, it is also about communication, TLS encryption, and all that stuff. The cool thing with Code Engine is if you have an external route, yeah, it will be automatically created in DNS for you, so that the DNS you need a DNS to have to get an TLS encryption, and the Code Engine will provide you a certificate using Let's Encrypt. So it's the communication is secured, and you have a DNS for that. That's good. And now some basics about deployment. Here I did a list, just to make this more obvious, to see, okay, what applications are running, and what is route internal, and what is external, and what has TLS encryption, and which what not. So we have these 4 applications, and as I said already, we have 3 external route. These are all encrypted. At the moment, this internal is not encrypted with MTLS. Maybe the people who know the Istio and so on, you can with a service mesh you can also enable MTLS for the encrypted communication inside. But that will come soon. But as from my perspective, it's not really necessary in that case. And what I also wrote that here, what I scale to 0, because I want, I don't, I want to ensure, not to have too much applications running. And the scale to 0 are for these 3 applications, and we have 1 application which is not scale to 0, and that is the reason why I also wrote a cleanup script for you, then you can run at the end, so that it should not be a problem, that it also kills that, because as I said, it's not a productive situation. Keycloak is deployed as a container, and is stateful, and the container, has a state, and if I do scale to 0 and it starts again, I have to configure it again, and I don't want to do that.
Okay. I was wondering why you wouldn't have it scale to 0 as well, but that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not a productive. It's really just to get know it and play around with that, and and see how it works. So I use different container registries, Quay and Docker. And what a cool thing is also with the configurations, you have the different configurations properties for CPU and memory. So I play a little bit around with that. There are different possibility to do that. So you can see here, I used here a half CPU and 1 gigabyte and a half. There are different combinations. That's what I used here, and what I also did. If you maybe, because when I create that in our example right now, and somebody thinks, Thomas, yes, you should pay a lot of money. I will now create a lot of requests. So I reduced the max instances to 1. So that, as I said, it's not really productive. It's really to see the capabilities. And is 1 instance maximum. So, and that's also good to know that you can really define your limits.
Sure.
So, and that's so, and with that, we have here the agenda of the workshop itself. That's about, here is the setup. We have here. We have here 5 labs. 1 is the lab for the setup of the application. Then inspect the code engine project, just to take a little bit into what we have created. Then we play a little bit around with the application itself, and then we do a little bit of monitoring and logging, and then clean up the application. And if you are really interested in all that stuff of the implementation itself, I also wrote a lot of, and also my colleagues, a lot of blog posts around the topic of the implementation of the Java application itself. Applications, and also the Vue application. So it's interesting to know how to handle all that stuff. Especially also what is loved, what I noticed. I do and for example, also an automatic deployment of RAM. RAM is inside the identity and access management of Keycloak. That's the area where you define your identity and access management with all roles and so on, and how to automatically deploy that. So that is also part of that, and we do. Yeah, so that is what we have here. So, and as you can see here, I also have the source code here on my machine. Yeah, now no, my machine broken. Just yeah, and this is not my normal machine. I set it up and did some configurations, and what I also did here in the workshop, yeah, in addition, I also created some optional labs so that you can also create run it locally, so that you know how to run it more and set up locally if you want to. So, and I would say I really just start with the basic steps and walk through, yeah.
Please.
And if you have questions, and then we move on, and we can also take a look in the implementation. Okay, with the setup, once again, when we go through that, I tried really to avoid that when you play around in a paid account, yeah, and that you know, okay, if you do not extensive run it, yeah, you should normally not pay any money, because we also use the light services for the monitoring and logging, and that's what's there. Okay, the first is when we are in IBM Cloud, yeah, we create a code engine project, and I already have created a code engine project. So that's my personal account, my private account. And here I already created a code engine project. Yeah, sorry for that, but my machine is not. It's the older machine. The newer machine has broken. Yeah, so the older still works.
Yeah. We can
Yeah,
put up with a little bit of delay. No worries.
so yeah. So it's time to watch and see. Oh yeah.
You were just a question while you were we're waiting for this. You were talking about the implementation, and you already had containerized applications. Did you find moving to Code Engine that you that there was much rework required in configuration or in the application itself?
Not really, because I already did what is needed.
Okay.
The reason is when you do that, when you have a containerized application, think about what needs your container when you restart your container and you want to configure it. And the most important thing, what I notice, is the connection to the other services you use for the roads.
Okay. Right.
So, and when you have externalized them, and that is also I also did the blog post for that. Yeah, when you externalize them, then it's no problem, because then you can just use the environment variables, and then it's no problem. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, and that's also that brings me directly to an important point. What I also want to check out, because it's promised. Yeah, not write any YAML. Yeah, I didn't write any YAML for that. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So we take a look in the implementation of my script later on. Yeah. So when it runs, so it takes a little bit time. So I already created a project. Yeah. So you have to create a project here. So you can see here, that's the project. At the moment, we have no application running. Yeah, there's no application running here. So at the moment, as you can see, there are jobs built and registry access. But it's important to know, there's a little bit a difference between the capabilities you have inside the UI and the CLI. You have also the CLI. I use for the CLI for the setup. Yeah, you have in a CLI, you have more capabilities and more options you can use. Just to keep that in mind. Yeah. Okay, then I start, and that's also cool for you because, and now it's also cool for me because I do not have my normal machine. Yeah, you can use the IBM Cloud Shell. Yeah, for yeah
Yeah,
for
that's very handy.
executing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's because then you do not have to install the IBM Cloud CLI and other tools which are maybe needed. Yeah, for that situation. So I have to prepare that. It will now prepares the session, yeah, and when it prepares the session, you will see what I doing here. Go to the step here. So when this is I'm not really used to with this pad. I'm used to the Mac.
Yep.
And sometimes a little bit slow.
I can
So
sympathize.
so and here you can see that's all I have. Yeah, that's about the configuration and what I wrote here about the setup. And what I did here is I give you the ability that by the way that's written with mkdocs. Yeah, I implemented with mkdocs, so that's nice with automatically created in that nice layout. So I copy and paste now the commands. Now we clone inside into our CLI here the project. And what I also do, I use heavily because I like the environment variables. Yeah, so to write it, and then you can ensure, okay, if the variable are here, you can avoid the mistakes in writing and spelling and
Yep. And typing.
yeah, okay, typo and so on. Yeah. So okay, and then what we have to do in the next step, as you can see, I defined one project parameter. You have to configure on project one parameter as an input for the bash script. Here is it. So it calls it my project. I will use that for the connection and the rest is pre-configured. You are free to change it, but I did all the pre-configurations like I wrote in the guidance what you should do, and it will automatically set up everything for you if you followed the steps. Yeah, so then it's totally automated and there should be no problem. So as I said here, I export it. So now I have that project here. My project is Cloud Native Starter TS. Yeah, just to verify, that's the only mistake I can do. Yeah. So and with that, yeah, we are fine. And here I go to the next step, and as I said here, I wrote a bash script which does everything for you. Here I wrote the steps, so we can first just take a look into the steps, and then we watch the steps. First, what I do, I will connect to the right code engine project where in the region and so on, all the setup which is necessary so that you are on the right project. Yeah. So when you connect to that, then I will deploy the web application. The reason for that is when you use Keycloak, yeah, you need the route, the redirect route you want to verify inside Keycloak if a client here requests access, so that you know it. So I do not know it because this is dynamically created and has a dynamic name. Yeah. And so I need that name. So I first need to create that application, get that root, yeah, as an input. So I store that in a variable, yeah, and then I deploy the Keycloak, simple as a container, yeah. What I said with which is not scale to zero because stateful in that situation. Then I do a modification of the RAM JSON file
Mhm.
with the information I got here, yeah, from
From the app.
from the app. And I yeah and that is, and then I create the RAM automatically with the REST API of Keycloak.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and that's automatically created, and so that's the next thing. Then I create the articles microservice. As you know, the articles microservice is the one service which is not um, outside, or has no outside the world route. It's the local inside local in the cluster. So inside Code Engine. Code Engine is built on Knative, Kubernetes, and Istio. Yeah, major topics. Yeah,
Yeah.
and with that in mind, yeah, it is arranged technically that this project we have is namespace. Yeah. So, and then I need to know that space, then that namespace for the project, which is a numeric number. Yeah. And I need that. So, and then I need to create the root which is used internally. So, and that is what I doing in that steps. I guess I get the namespace information with the code engine CLI. That is what I doing. Yeah. And then I set that parameter. So because I need these article service URL as an input for my web API microservice, because as you know, what I said, the web API will invoke the articles microservice to get the articles, yeah, inside. And what it also does, both of these services need to access Keycloak, because when we're token a JSON Web Token is given, the Web Token must be verified, yeah, by the issuer. Yeah, will be verified by the issuer automatically from Quarkus, because it's implemented in Quarkus. Yeah. So, and that's the reason why and that is also with the modification, I use the config parameters, yeah, which are available inside Kubernetes. Uh, Quarkus, yeah, for the implementation, and that, and then I exposed all that to yeah, to the upper level so that I can use it inside my container. Okay, so that is here. So I got that. Then I create that, and the next is I deploy the web API with the needed Keycloak and articles URLs, because I know it already. Yeah. And then I do once again a reconfiguration of the web app. The reason is, you remember we first started to start to deploy the web application because I needed to configure the Keycloak. So, but the web app needs the right Keycloak URL and also the web API URL. So that's the reason why I do a reconfiguration deployment, and we will see that also later that we have a new configuration. So, and these are the and these are the parameter, and what the variables I use inside my Bash script. Yeah, as you can see here, that's what I use from outside. Yeah, that is what I configured at the first step. As you remember, I do not. I'm sure that I do not speak too long here because no, that's a Cloud Shell. Okay. So here, going back. So, and with that, yeah, then we can, we can later take a look in the last step. So, yeah, this was the long part. As I said, it's more about understanding what happens, yeah, and not so much about doing, yeah, because what you now do is really just, is copy, yeah, and paste and pray.
But it does provide a good example for the kinds of things that you can do to manage the way your application and the other services you're using are configured
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah.
yeah. So, and now I start a deployment, yeah. So, and then you can see I start with the CLI config. So I log on, I set now the right region, yeah, and I'm selecting the project, so that's the right, then, and what I also do, what the cool thing is, because it is built on Knative and Kubernetes, you can also use, if you want, the Kubernetes or the Knative CLI. Yeah, if
Oh,
you
right.
so you're not bound only to um, the Code Engine CLI. So
Sure.
if you are familiar with that, you can also do that. But my objective was to use as less as possible. Yeah. So and in some cases, it's not needed what I'm doing in some additional steps, but I just want to be sure for something. It's more about being on the safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it runs here, and it takes a look, so we can. It takes time, so we can take a look also into the is it the code engine on the cloud. So when I do the update here, so when something happens, so we will see it here. Oh, I'm not. I should not switch too fast to different tabs. Okay.
Yeah. Give your
Yeah.
machine a bit of time to work.
Yeah. So this is going to work. Yeah. So you can see currently starting two applications. Yeah. And
Yep.
we can go to the application here. You see the configuration, it's deploying. You can see the CPUs. You can see the URLs, yeah, which are created.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and that it will just work. Now it runs, and what we can do in that during that time, yeah, when it executes, I will give you a brief look into the bash script itself, in the organization of the project. So the organization of the project is called Code Engine. I call it from that the CNS means Cloud Native Starter, because that's the father of the project. Yeah, and okay, uh, C has all the bash scripts. Yeah, and some on the configurations, as you can see, are also working. In addition, that's currently not there, with maybe also using Docker Compose, and also you have a total automatic setup for the local, but that's in progress. And here is the code, yeah, of the implementation. Yeah, you can take a look. It's the two applications implemented with Quarkus. Yeah. And also, what I also I created also two blog posts. One with the debugging, yeah, how to debug it locally. Can do it. Also with the view application. For the view application, it's interesting. You have two kinds of debugging, yeah. But I want to go into the bash script I promised, yeah, and that's here deployed apps, and you can see here with the deploy apps. that's the organization. Yeah. So here I define the global variables, and then I did all the stuff here in functions. Yeah. So I created functions to move all and to do all that. And here you can see here, for example, to configure keycloak. Yeah. What is needed, and that's I need to get an access token. And the configure keycloak means that I upload the RAM. Yeah. What I said. Yeah. And yeah. So this is done here. So I get an access token. Then I will apply the changes with that curl command. Then I will set up here that's the situation where I set up the IBM Cloud, yeah, context, so that I have the target. The target is so that which are regions and the project name. And I verify the project name. You see, and that is the part where I get the namespace. So first I did it with kubectl, so but that's not needed. You can it also do with the that means code engine. Yeah, that's the definition for the code engine usage. And I get the project. Inside that project is a JSON, and you get the inside from that JSON you can extract the namespace name. Okay, yeah, and then I just show it. So going back to that, yeah, and then I deploy it here. I do the reconfiguration. There are some with the reconfiguration. And what is interesting, yeah, here you can see how simple it is when you deploy an application itself. Yeah, and this is what you are going to do. Yeah, so the articles part is important now, but that's the reason why I choose it in a moment. When you have this parameter cluster local, so that's the reason why it's not external available. Yeah.
Okay.
With that parameter, and these are the environment variables I use. Yeah, and normally, yeah, you should also write, or you must write config YAML, config maps YAMLs for that in Kubernetes or Red or an OpenShift. Yeah. So in here you can just use the environment variables as a parameter here. And
Yeah,
it
very
works.
cool. And I see
Yeah.
the scaling information you're passing as well. So
Yeah. So and what is also I also did one. I do not know which it was, where I just all the capabilities and maybe take a look in that. Is it? Yeah, here is it. Yeah, here. You say a lot of more.
oh wow.
Yeah, and that's also because what I currently using, I use my predefined, pre-built containers on Quai. Yeah, and it's not triggered. It's because it's a open. Everyone can use it. Yeah, and so, but if you want to need or you need secrets for your registry and so on, and it's also possible in users and so on. Yeah, so yeah. So we spent some time here. So let us take a look what magic happens.
Okay.
Here. Yeah,
Oh
it's
wow.
still
We're up to a few
it's
more.
deploying. A few more, it's deploying. So let us take a look inside the cloud shell. You can see here, and that is yeah, we took a look at the implementation of the script, and here you can see the execution. Yeah, what I did. So I thought by myself, I do not hide all the output. Yeah, and you can just follow it, and you can just take a look at that. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, I do not
No, it's a
pipe
great.
it
Yeah,
into a log. Yeah.
it's a great way to
So
learn. I mean,
yeah,
to experiment with things, right? To be able to
yeah,
see it come up on the screen.
yeah. You can see it in how it works. Yeah, and what is also interesting to know. using inside Istio. And if you know Istio, you have a sidecar and not only one container running inside a pod. Yeah, and you can see here they have two containers running. So I guess that should be the sidecar and the keycloak container, and also for the other one. So and that is a reason why I use in combination the keycloak CLI and also the kubectl. Yeah, you can see here. So I always do the output of the URLs I find out, or that from. You can take a look here, and finished. Yeah, and as I said, I did optimize the project and the usage not on performance. I optimized this project on for my personal and your costs, not to have too much instances. so
Right.
so be patient because it scales to 0. Yeah, if it takes a little bit time, and if we talk too long, the container are scaling to 0. Let us take a look. If they're already scaled to 0, yeah, it shows here it's still, yeah, and yeah, can see here the article service scale to 0. Yeah, okay,
Okay.
it will take time. It will take time. So let us open up the web app. Yeah, the web app you can access here with the URL. So and now what
So
should happen?
then the article service will have to spin back up, right? Is that what needs to
No,
happen
we
now?
not directly. No. What now happens? No, you have to log in.
Okay.
Yeah, because it now what I said. Yeah, so it when at the invocation, yeah, the login, because we did not implement the login dialog. That's cool stuff with Keycloak. You do not have to also to implement only the login dialog. Yeah,
Right.
you can directly route it, and so here I also have to insert the right user because only that user has the role user. What a nice name for the role. And the list. And then when I do that, say here login, then I will come to the application itself. Yeah. And that's the reason also with the redirect. Otherwise, if this with the redirect would not work, so that then Keycloak would say, no, you are not allowed to get a token. Yeah. So and also not yes, I will not provide that. Yeah. So yeah, and now guess what happens? It will take time, yeah, and it takes time. I can promise. So what I did at the beginning, yeah, you can see I have 30 milliseconds
Yeah.
exceeded. You can see here that's the URL I invoking. Yeah, I have to invoke it once again, and yeah,
I've
we
got
have to wait.
a question. While we're
Yeah.
waiting, I've got a question coming in through the chat from Prefel. Is the Istio way the way forward with Code Engine, or can any other proxy and service mesh be plugged in?
Um, so I would say with plugged in, you should use it just. And that is a detail of the implementation of Code Engine itself. That means it's not the objective that you use something. If you want to customize everything by yourself, then use Kubernetes. Code Engine has the objective to provide you a very easy, consumable way, yeah, to set up things. And yeah, so that's the first thing. What I say, I'm not the product manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
So and if they provide a capability to do that, then it's okay. But from my perspective, yeah, That's the implementation detail of how Code Engine works. And if you maybe don't, maybe they provide some power parameters to switch it off or on. Maybe that would be a way. It was a long answer. Hopefully, it still addresses the question.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was indicating that perhaps Istio is a little too heavyweight, at least in the current incarnation of it. But having it under the hood and not have to worry about it to any great extent is also a benefit, I think, for this, right?
Yeah, it depends what you want to do. Oh, yeah. You can see, yeah, we did it.
Cool.
So, and we see everything is running here. Yeah. Okay. So, and what the next part will be is that we're going to monitor it. So that are the applications we have.
Mm-hmm.
And what I already did, what you have to do, you have to set up for the monitoring the free logging service and the free monitoring service we have. So I go back to the lab. I do. I should go through the overviews here. So maybe it would be a little bit too fast. We go to one of these of these services more of these applications in more detail. So that's not the only list. Yeah. So we just can take a look here into the application. So I was too fast. So yeah. So that is the view on the UI of the application itself. You can see that we have here different revisions. What I said, as you remember, I did a second revision because I did it deployed once more with a different configuration.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, first I did it to get the URL, and then I have everything, and that was the next configuration. You can see where the code comes from. The cool thing is also that you also can directly code. They also utilizing Tecton, yeah. And but that was not in my objective. I thought when I use a containerized application, yeah, I do my own container and I load it up. So and that was my point of view, but that's also a valid point you can do. And so this is with the access, public access, and these are the parts which are here. And you guys have also a test pane, but that's not what I currently using. So that is what I'm using. Here is the runtime configuration. You can see the minimum and the maximum instances and the configurations on the request and the CPU. Yeah, that is what I already showed in my script. Yeah, this is what you can do in manual here. And here, yeah, the variable, the externalization, yeah, for the restart, and these are the variables, yeah. So you can see that is what I've inserted here. Okay, with that, and then we can also take a look here. Maybe not. I just want to update it so that it will not. So that's the, you can see here, that's the latest one. Yeah, configuration. So that was in that were the major steps which are in the inspect the project step of the lab. Yeah, so that you can take a look here what the overview is and what is more in the detail and so on. So going to that, all that steps. So now we move on to the monitoring the application. So when you're monitoring the application, you have to set up these free light accounts. What I notice here, because on the front end there are some steps to do. I also created now a bash script for the automation of the creation. Yeah, you can also take a look in that bash script. You can also go along the UI. Yeah, feel free as you want to. because these two services need to set up so that we can utilize um, the monitoring and the logging. So we
Right.
will take a look at that. So what if the first step is we will take a look at the logging of the application. So for that we use the log analysis um, service. This is based on log DNA, but it's the IBM service. You can go here for more detail. I don't want to dig in this service. I just want to show how it works, that we can utilize it. So, and now I go to the ah, I I press the button. I should not press the button. I don't want to do that. Oh yeah, going back here. Yeah. So yeah, it's heavyweight for my browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
While
to
we're
do.
waiting,
So,
yeah, while we're doing this action, another question came in. How about the cost implications of Istio containers? Um, is there
well,
a cost overhead or related to that to
well, no,
running Istio?
no. Okay. So I do not know to say it cost overhead to the container because it's included, and what you pay for is that for the system that your application runs, and it is a part of the system.
Oh,
And
okay.
maybe if you really want and you say, yeah, I want to divide it, and but I think that's too detailed. Yeah, that's the system. That's the part, and what you and as I said, you cannot say I don't want that. So
Mm,
it's a part of that. Yeah,
right.
and it's just like to say if you buy, I don't want to use the wheel or do not know. Yeah, so what a
Hmm.
good comparison in that situation would be. Okay, when we have the logging here, we can configure the sources. Here we will use the code engine. Out of the box, it shows it shows what we are uh, or what we have selected. Here I want to give you the ability to see how to configure it. You can say, yeah, this is my source. And the nice thing with the configuration is also, we go back to the logging. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then when you go back to the I know what it is. I have with this. I sometimes I use because I'm used to the old um, ThinkPad, and the here I have a ThinkPad, and this has the red button in the middle
Oh, yes.
of the keyboard, and also the touch. But and I didn't disable the touch, right? So that sometimes I yeah no that's okay. Hopefully I can use my Mac tomorrow.
Mhm.
So everything is back. So when we set it up, so that is what I did, and now I can just configure, for example, that is the text. You can also here just copy. Here I have copy, yeah, and put it here as in text. And then what we are going to do now, we will examine all from the code engines, all logs I created because I did on a console logout these special characters with yeah with this minus minus and log, yeah, to identify that's mine, yeah. So and now what we have to do, and it takes a little bit time. We have to yeah restart our application. Yeah, I know it's very slow because it has to it has only one instance and has to restart maybe when we talk too long. But the good thing is with the fast scale down, yeah, that you do not have to worry to pay for anything which you do not want. Yeah, especially my example here. So and then we can take a look here uh, if there will appear any logs. So it takes a little bit time. So
Okay.
and
Well,
yeah,
Thomas, maybe while we're waiting for that,
yeah.
we're getting pretty close to time. And are
Oh
there,
yeah.
anything? Is there anything you'd like to share in terms of wrapping up? I did share
Okay.
the link to the workshop, and so people can go out and try that.
Yeah.
But over to you for any kind of sort of last minute recommendations. And
Oh, it's the last minute now. Oh yeah. Time runs fast.
it
Yeah.
does,
So
yes.
I think it is really I would say a gift because it contains much more here than just only the setup of the code engine. It was really the just to try it out, and uh, you can take a use of the blog post we created around that application with the keycloak and the implementation. What it really was useful for me was really with the externalization, what I with Quarkus and also with the debugging and so on. Take a look into that. And what I would say, if you working with any containerized application, yeah, really take care about the externalization. What do you want? What do you need for external communication? Yeah, for easy setup, just to avoid changes or implementation or change the version because of connecting to other services and so on. Yeah, that's not what it should be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is what I would say and try it out. And yeah. Okay. So I'm a little bit disappointed because what the cool thing is also with the monitoring looks very good. You can take a look into the workshop itself. You can
Right.
examine a lot of details, and you can also see the startup and the scale up and scale down, and how long it takes, and so on. And for sure, if you want to have it faster, yeah, then just use more. And what I also can say here, yeah, manage at the moment. I do not know because my so account billing and usage. So it's my yeah, because I also I want to take a look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good way to
So
wrap it up. Yep.
did I spend any money at the moment? Yeah. Normally it should work if you uh, have a day with everything, then maybe it starts to take to cost money. Yeah, summary usage, and you can see here nothing at the moment, only what I already paid.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Well, we are right on time. I appreciate you coming on and walking us through the parts of the tutorial. There's a lot more to it that that people can explore on their own. And
yeah,
I'd love to have you back to as you continue to explore. We'll get you back to look at a few other elements of working with Code Engine and cloud native applications.
yeah. Cool, thanks. So I hopefully this was useful for you, and thanks for the invitation. Neil, and have fun with the example. Provide feedback if you want, and yeah, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, bye. Have a nice evening, morning. I do not know wherever you are.